Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Better Rivals podcast, powered by the Game Entertainment and Media. This is episode 53. It is April the 3rd. We're getting very, very close to playoff time, and the refs are in pure playoff form. But before we get to that, obviously we like to poke fun at the Ottawa Senators because they haven't been very good. But obviously, when something happens, like Eugene Melnyk, their owner, he passed, and when something happens like that, you kind of put all your jokes aside, and you feel for the organization, the team, his family. Obviously, he's the reason that the Ottawa Senators remained in Ottawa, right? So, there's
that whole community.
He leaves a complicated legacy behind. But like I said, the Ottawa Senators would not be in Ottawa if it was not for Eugene Melnyk, and we need more Canadian hockey, not less. So props to him for that, even though there were some other things that maybe some fans didn't agree with. Those things get put aside when people pass, right? Like that's So condolences to the Ottawa Senators organization and their family. Not that they're listening to this, but Anyway. So now that is kind of not out of the way, but that we
wanted to make sure we mentioned that.
So now we'll move on to your regular scheduled programming, which is Leafs and Habs content. So the Leafs are on a heater after losing to Montreal. They kind of have just gone crazy since they beat Florida, they beat Boston. And then last night it was obviously the Philadelphia game, which they did not play very well in. I forget who we played in between. I'm forgetting because we did have 4 games this week. I do know that I know we have Tampa and Florida coming up again. It was the Jets. How could I forget? How could I forget beating the Jets? Because there's no better feeling than beating. Yeah, there's no better feeling than beating the Winnipeg Jets. But yeah, it was a good week in Leafland. Obviously the loss to the Habs, which we can even agree that the Leafs dominated the possession for most of that game. That was not a one-sided game because obviously the Habs won, but that was a Leaf-dominated game that was ruined by a bad non-call trip on Austin Matthews in the final 3 minutes. But we talked about that last week, so we'll talk about this. The Leafs beat the Panthers, which obviously is huge. The Panthers are the best team in the Eastern Conference, most points, and to beat them going into the playoffs is a big thing, especially when 2 days later you follow it up by beating the Boston Bruins, who you may or may not end up playing in the first round of the playoffs. So make a statement against them. That was huge, especially with Shelgren and net after Mrazek went out with an injury, which he will be done for the season with.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. So, he pulled his groin. Not a good situation.
Fuck.
But for Shelgren to go into a game in Boston and put up a win
that's huge.
In his life, the guy doesn't even have 10 starts in the National Hockey League.
Does he have 10 games, even off the bench total?
No. So that was spectacular to see. Beating the Jets was just awesome because the Jets are a bunch of scumbags. The whole team is just they're a bunch of scumbags.
It's one of the few things we agree on this show.
Yeah. So beating the Jets was nice. And last night, I'm going to be honest with you, the Leafs really didn't start playing hockey until the third period. They didn't look so good through the first two, but 2 guys who did look really good. One man who's faced a lot of criticism, William Nylander, looked fantastic last night. He didn't put up the points that he's even been putting up, but he was just on the puck, making the plays that we're used to seeing him make. And that's something that we need moving into playoff time here. And the other big story out of last night's game was Jack Campbell played fantastic. Jack Campbell.
That was his first start, right? He's back?
First start back from injury since March the 8th, I believe. And it was awesome to see him, maybe not in Vezina form, but that's a guy that when he's playing like that, you can rely on, and we need somebody to rely on. In the Winnipeg game, there were a few missed calls. So first, actually, let's go back to the Bruins game. So,
because this is a shit show.
Yeah. So the Leafs are up. I believe it was either 6-2 or 6. I think it was 6-3 in the third period. And Ilya Lyubushkin, questionable. Maybe not the best hit.
I would lean definitely towards it's a bad hit. Like,
not the worst hit I've seen. Not even the worst hit from that game.
No, but it definitely was not a good hit.
Okay, sure. But does that give Taylor Hall the right to stand up while Ilya Lyubushkin's skating away and sucker punch him in the jaw?
No. But I understand. I think both things can be true. That the hit was bad, but the reaction was also really bad.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Watching the hit, and this could just be Leafs bias talking, when it happened, I said good hit.
It's like right on the numbers, Dave.
Like, no, it isn't. It's shoulder to shoulder into the boards, but
it was not a good hit.
Okay.
Like
moral of the story.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall was not hurt. Ilya Lyubushkin was. Yeah. Taylor Hall receives a $5,000 fine. So we're going to go to the NHL rulebook right now.
Yep.
So, NHL rulebook, unsuspecting player gets punched in the head.
Yeah. Like the thing that it reminded me a lot of was Todd Bertuzzi. Obviously not as...
to that, yeah. So here we go. A match penalty, so a 5-minute major and a game shall be assessed to any player who has deliberately injured or attempted to injure an opponent.
Yep.
And a match penalty shall be assessed to any player who punches an unsuspecting player in the face. So that's 5 minutes and tossed out of the game.
Yes.
Is what that should be. A 5-minute penalty major, right? So this doesn't... This, if we score 5 goals, still a 5... Like, that's what it should have been. Yep. He is assessed a 2-minute roughing penalty, was not tossed from the game, and then received a $5,000 fine from the Department of Player Safety.
Yeah, so so in the game, the 5 in a game, I don't know why that doesn't get reviewed. It causes the injury. Lyubushkin leaves the game, doesn't come back. I don't know how they're not reviewing that, because they're allowed to. If a play causes injury, they're allowed to review it.
Yes.
Actually, I saw this in it was a Canadiens game a couple weeks ago. What they did, there was kind of a weird collision between Chris Weidman and I forget the player. They assessed the 5 on the play. They assessed 5-minute major, because then they're like, oh, like we can review it, because the guy didn't get hurt, but it was a kind of weird looking play. So they assessed the 5. Reviewed it, and they're like, oh, no, it's just a 2. I don't know why they're not doing that here. You call the 5 to give yourself the excuse so you can look at it, and then make the right call, which still would have been a 5.
Well, here's the thing, right, is Ilya Lyubushkin not only missed that game, the rest of that game, he also missed the game against the Jets, and I do not believe he played last night against the Flyers either.
Yeah, so now you're looking at a guy missing 2.5 games from that, and it's just, oh, well, $5,000 fine, max under the CBA.
But Austin Matthews cross-check, which I don't believe he was even attempting to hit the guy in the head. I think he was attempting to hit him in the shoulder, and it rides up and hits him in the neck.
Yeah.
He gets suspended for 2 games for that, but a literal sucker punch in the jaw gets a $5,000 fine.
And so this was my point when we were talking Matthews, the incident when it first happened, was I still believe that was a fair suspension for the act, right? Like, you cross-check a guy in the head, probably should be 2 games. But it's not a fair suspension when he's the only one getting that treatment, when other guys are getting away with bullshit like this. Like, I think both of those statements can be true. That Matthews' suspension was fair, but it also wasn't fair because of the fucking, like, this shit.
Because of precedent, right? Like,
yeah.
It's not comparable to anybody else. So now now that we've connected it to the Austin Matthews cross-check, let's move on to the Ville Heinola cross-check on Michael Bunting, like not 5 minutes into the game against the Winnipeg Jets, where he gets cross-checked in the neck.
It was almost the exact same play as the Matthews one, if we're being honest. Like almost identical.
No supplemental discipline.
Like,
none. Not a penalty on the play. No power play in the game. No fine. No suspension. Nothing. Nothing.
Because even when Austin Matthews, when he cross-checked Darlene there, like, the Department of Player Safety said, like, we are looking at this incident. There was nothing from that. Like, the Department of Player Safety did not give a fuck. And it's the exact same play.
Well,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
And, I'm going to call it what it is. It's a bias against the Toronto Maple Leafs, is what it is. And here is statistical information that is going to prove that.
I know.
The top 4 goal-scoring teams in the NHL over the past 5 seasons are the Florida Panthers, Colorado Avalanche, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Minnesota Wild. The Colorado Avalanche and the Florida Panthers are 1-2 when it comes to penalties drawn.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Wild, who, like I said, are the 4th most goal-scoring team over the past 5 seasons, are 12th in penalties drawn, which isn't great. You would expect them to be higher, right?
Yeah.
If they're scoring that many goals, they have that much dynamic offense, you would expect that to be a higher rate. The Toronto Maple Leafs are 3rd in goals scored over the past 5 seasons, but are 27th in penalties drawn.
And again, so I'm not going to disagree with your stats there. I don't think it's a Leafs bias. I think
it's a Leafs bias. It's
an
absolute.
I think that with the suspension stuff, anyways, I think that's just the Department of Player Safety being run by an idiot. Like, obviously, I can't argue with those stats. I can't. You can't argue that. But in terms of, like, the suspensions or the lack of suspensions and discipline, like, I don't think that's a bias against the Leafs. I think that's just, incompetent
Well, then why does Austin Matthews get suspended 2 games? Why doesn't Jason Spezza? Why does he get suspended earlier in the season?
Well, okay, and again, both of those incidents, they should have been suspended. Like, I don't have.
Yeah, but they don't get suspended for any other team.
I know.
So that's a bias against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
But then, yeah. And then, like, so was it
Billy Heinola? Right? You know what it is, right? Every time a Leafs jersey, every time a file with a Leafs player comes across George Parros' desk, he remembers lying face first on the ice when Colt Norton knocked his bitch ass out.
Okay. But
that's what George Parros remembers every time he sees a Toronto Maple Leaf uniform.
Okay, so I get what you're saying, but he also played for the Habs, so you'd think that when incidents involving the Habs come across his desk, he would, side with the Habs, but he doesn't. That's kind of what I was saying, is that he's not. I don't think it's biased against one specific team. I think it's just you have someone who has serious brain injuries running your Department of Player Safety. Like, what else are you going to expect other than bullshit? Like,
I've watched hockey for a long time. I've not seen the state of officiating as bad as it is right now.
Like, it amazed me. Every year we talk about it, and we've been friends for, like, what, 5 years now, 6 years. Like, every time we're like, man, like, it can't get much worse, and then it does. Like, it's been continually going down.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense what the games that these guys are watching is. And the thing is they talk, right? Like, that they talk. They have these conversations with each other, and that's why it's teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs, this high market, this high quality hockey market. They don't like that, and I don't know why. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense, And it's frustrating as a fan to watch because, like, at least 3 games this year, I can tell you were absolutely given to the other team by a referee. That one against the Montreal Canadiens, the one where Chychrun held Matthews and in overtime, and then went up and scored on a 2-on-1 to win it in overtime. Like, that's 6 points.
Yeah.
That's huge. That is huge. When you're a team that's battling for the, like, 2nd and 3rd place in your division, trying to stay out of a wild card spot, those 6 points are massive.
Yeah.
We're competing with Florida instead of Tampa and Boston for the top spot, if it's not for the referees.
And what kills me is, so they had the GM's meeting in Florida over the weekend, right? Last weekend? Mm-hmm. Apparently, when a GM brought up, the referees and your state of officiating, Gary Bettman started his statement by reminding the owners and GMs that if they spoke out about refs and that they would be fined. Like, that's a pretty big indication of what is going on in the league when you have to start your discussion with, hey guys, remember, if you roast them, we're gonna fine you.
Yeah.
Like, that's just fucking a piss off, honestly.
Want to hear something wild?
Go for it.
This blew my mind. Did you know that the officials are actually the head official on the ice after every game is supposed to make themselves available to media to ask them questions? The media just never does it.
If we need to fucking get fucking media credentials, I don't care how we have to do it. We need to get media credentials, and we'll be the only two there fucking roasting refs after every game. We might only get one game out of it because then the NHL will fucking ban us. But like,
I was watching Overdrive, and Jonas Siegel was a guest host.
Yeah.
And he says, he said yes, they are supposed to, after every game, one of the officials, the head official, is supposed to make themselves available to ask questions. It just never happens. The media never requests it.
Like, that's just so frustrating. I'm thinking back, like, all the fucking goalie interference bullshit that the Habs have dealt with in the last like 4 or 5 years. Like, I would love to fucking ask one of those refs, like, okay, like, why? Just why?
What did you see? What did you see? Yeah. And it doesn't happen, and it should. And
absolutely.
So the onus has to be on the media members in that case. You got it. Like, come on. After that Chychrun hold on Matthews, and then he goes and scores the overtime winner, you gotta ask the ref the question, why would you not call that penalty?
So here's the only thing I can think with that is that nobody wants to be the first one who does it, because then there's probably some sort of, and obviously the NHL can't like discipline these people like the media, but you got to think there will be some, you know, stigma attached to that person who starts doing that. You know what I mean? And whether they get their press, you know, their media availability like badges revoked for doing that. Yeah, because the NHL would come up with some bullshit excuse about how, you know, they did something wrong.
Do you know who doesn't give a shit? Rick Westhead doesn't give a shit.
I'd love to see Rick Westhead roasting referees, but unfortunately he has a lot bigger fish to fry.
Yes.
And we appreciate him for that.
Yes. So
can we do Troy Terry and Jay Beagle while we're doing
I was
discipline?
Gonna say, while we're here.
Yeah, let's just.
Okay, so first, let's start from the top here. First, Trevor Zegras scores another outrageous Michigan goal where he bends his stick around his own teammate Sonny Milano, who has the wherewithal and presence on the ice
to get out of the way.
Understand that he actually has to get out of the way because his teammate is about to score an absolutely ridiculous goal again. So that happens. It's a 5-0 hockey game. 2 minutes left, and there's a loose puck in the Coyotes crease. It's a Coyotes versus Anaheim game, obviously.
Yeah.
So Trevor Zegras takes a whack at the puck.
Couple pokes. Yeah. But you watch the replay. The puck's loose. Like, there's,
He gets cross-checked from behind by world-renowned idiot Jay Beagle. Yeah. Following the cross-check, Troy Terry comes in, and, as one does, your teammate just got cross-checked, you just grab the guy, right? Like, you're not trying to fight him, you just grab him.
It's like everything up to that point is fine.
It was a bullshit cross-check, but yeah.
Yeah, but, like, it wasn't, like, crazy, you know what I mean? Like, someone's poking around.
Trevor Zegras got right up, right?
Yeah, fine.
So then Jay Beagle, this is a guy who would be playing in the ECHL if the Arizona Coyotes did not exist, because he is not a good hockey player anymore. He was at one point, but he is fucking terrible. Yeah. He's the one who lost Trevor Zegras behind the net when he went to do the Michigan. So you can see that right now, Jay Beagle, who is talentless, is looking at Trevor Zegras and is not very pleased with him. So he grabs Trevor Zegras' teammate, who steps in to defend him, 32-goal scorer Troy Terry.
Yeah.
And before Troy Terry even has a chance to decide whether or not he wants to drop the gloves, drops his gloves and starts punching him repeatedly in the eye.
Yeah.
Troy Terry suffered a pretty gruesome injury. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, it's ugly. Apparently, it's not too bad actually in terms of the injury, but it looked real fucking ugly.
It's brutal, and Jay Beagle proceeds to pound him while he's down. Just total goof move by Jay Beagle.
like Troy Terry doesn't even try to fight. That's the thing. Like, it's
no, he was assaulted.
As soon as Jay Beagle starts swinging, like Troy Terry is like covering up, like,
Yeah, he was assaulted. right?
Yeah, basically.
Like that's assault. That is what that is.
Yeah.
That is an unwilling combatant, right?
Yeah.
So, first of all, Tyson Nash, ex-NHLer, also talentless. Is commending on the Arizona Coyotes broadcast, commending Jay Beagle, saying and I quote, "If you want to skill it up, you better be prepared to be punched in the mouth."
Chris, we can just like stop on this for a second?
Yes, absolutely.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. 25 and a half years. What the fuck is that?
What are you talking about, man? He used his stick to put the puck in the net.
Yeah.
Skill it up.
Like, just because you didn't have that skill doesn't mean that, like...
And you never will, Tyson. You never will. Jay or Tyson, you're never going to be that talented.
No.
Never.
But, like it's just so... just ancient, that fucking thinking. You know what I mean? That, like...
Good for him. Good for Jay Beagle for sticking up for himself because he got fucking embarrassed.
Yeah.
Maybe if you don't want to get embarrassed, learn how to play better defense.
Yeah,
like
don't lose your guy. Don't lose your guy behind the net and let one of the most skilled players in the league fucking have the puck loose behind your net. He's gonna do something with it. Like,
yeah,
you know,
that's not an invitation to punch one of his teammates in the eye.
Yeah,
then
like the other part of that is there's a code. I'm gonna say it in quotations. There's a code for fighting in the league, right? For know.
Yeah.
I know
Jay Beagle should not be going after Troy Terry.
No, and I know like a guy like Ryan Reeves is big on that. Like, if someone wants to engage you, like, fine. Like, he said it when Pizzetta fought him at Madison Square Gardens. He looked at the kid as like, if you want to do this, like, we'll do this. But you also know that, if you start swinging at a guy and he's not fighting back, and he's not a fighter, it's Troy Terry. He's not a fighter.
No, he's a goal
and he's not swinging back at you. Like, you gotta stop.
Yes.
Like, that's that's part of the code.
Absolutely. If Cole Caulfield skated up to Ryan Reeves and tried to fight him, Ryan Reeves would not fight him.
No. Like worst case scenario there is Ryan Reeves would turn around and maybe throw a punch not knowing who it is. And then the moment you see it's not, a Joel Edmondson, a Mike Pizzetta, a Josh Anderson, like a Ben Sherratt, when he was like, the moment you see it's like a Cole Caulfield, you go, okay, like, I'll just wrangle you to the ice because I can
You don't want this. You don't want this.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what would happen there.
And that's the code, right?
Well, and even you want to talk about the code. Even last night, Wayne Simmons beat the piss out of Zach McEwen.
Yeah.
Beat him up. But as soon as one body part other than his skates touched the ice, Wayne was mid-punch. He was cocked and he stopped.
Yep. Because that's the code.
You do.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's just, and like, for people to come out and defend that, it's just like, you're a fucking moron. You're a dinosaur.
God. No, if you're embarrassed by what Trevor Zegras did to you, then you better learn how to play better defense.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
And like, if you're upset that players are playing with more skill and the game is getting more skilled, then like, that's a you problem. Because you can look at any sport as just the progression. It has to get more skilled, right? That's just how life works, I guess.
Yes, we don't get worse, we get better.
Yeah. And like, if that means, and I did like Kevin BX's point, because they're on the panel on Hockey Night in Canada, they're talking about like, is it like the end of the enforcer? And he's like, no, it's not the end of the enforcer. You just need to get an enforcer who can also play hockey. I mean, the modern prototype would be Tom Wilson, as much as we don't like him. But here's the thing, is Tom Wilson can play hockey.
Yep.
Like, as much as he can beat the fuck out of a guy and be, throw dirty hits and cheap shots, he can play hockey. He's like a 20, 25 goal scorer.
Yeah.
And like, if that's the way it's going to progress, then that's fine. Like, but to be upset that a guy is more skilled than you and fucking throw a little shit fit and beat the fuck out of a guy, a defenseless guy, I should say, because they are more skilled than you, is just fucking horse shit.
Oh, it's outrageous. It's crazy. And yeah, like you said, absolute dinosaur opinion from Tyson Nash, and absolute anybody who defends that's just dinosaur. Just
Yeah.
we don't need
Like,
you around this league.
Yeah, like the game is better without you in that opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So the Habs had a
Okay.
rough week.
The Habs did have a rough week. We'll let you explain to us why it was a rough week.
So we'll start on Sunday. A 3-2 shootout loss to the Devils. It's just a meh game. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think the Devils are doing anything. We're not doing anything. Picked up the pity point. But then, when you get on this road trip, you got the Panthers, the Hurricanes, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, that's not a fun road trip. I don't care who you are, whether you're the Leafs, the Habs, like, not a good road trip.
Yeah, those are three of the best teams in the Eastern Conference for sure.
Well, I mean, like, in the league, So 7-4 loss to the Panthers. Started the week off on Tuesday. And actually, the one thing I will say about this road trip, so it was the loss to the Devils in the shootout, a loss to the Panthers and the Hurricanes, and the shootout win against Tampa. The Habs have, shown some fight. And, like, that's the one, like, there's a way to win a game and there's a way to lose a game. Like, we're losing games the right way. We're not losing because of, like, poor effort and, like, giving up on games and just being shit. We're losing games because we're playing better teams. And that's going to happen. Especially after the trade deadline where we, lost some players and haven't been able to bring in the quality to replace them. We're bringing in some young guys. Actually, Justin Barron and Jordan Harris both made their NHL debuts this week. We're losing games the right way. Like the game against the Florida Panthers, we were down 4-0 at one point. In the space of a minute and like 46 seconds, tied the game at 4. And then, late in the game, give up one and then a couple empty netters. It's like, that's an okay way to lose a game to one of the best teams in the league. Yeah. Florida's really fucking good.
They are. Did you see what they did yesterday?
No.
Dude, they were down 6-2 in the third period and won 7-6 in overtime to the New Jersey Devils.
Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's a really fucking good hockey team.
So I was golfing with my dad in the garage, and the thing came up, like 6-2 Devils, and I was like, oh my God, like, jeez. And I literally showed it to my dad. I was like, if this was the Leafs, Toronto media would be going insane right now. And then I come inside, and it's 6-4, and I'm like, they're going to come back.
Yeah.
And then it's 6-6, and it's going into overtime, and I'm literally like, you can't be serious right now. And then they score and win it. Gustav Forsling in overtime. Who? What? No. Anyway, continue with the Habs. I just
no, and that's a great point about the Panthers, especially going into the playoffs. Like, their defense might not be the best, but they'll fuck it. If they give up 6, they'll score 7. Like they're good. Against the Hurricanes on Thursday night, they beat us 4-0. 50 odd shots. We only held them to 2 shots in the third period, and one of them was an empty netter. Jake Allen had a phenomenal game against the Hurricanes there, and that's another one of the points from this week is like Jake Allen is a very good goalie. Like without him, we're getting slapped fucking 8 or 9-0 these games. Like he is really, really good.
You need that.
Exactly.
Yeah. When you're a team that's on the lower end of things, you need a guy who because the first 4 go in, and then how's the rest of the game gonna go? You know? So anyway.
Yeah. And then last night in Tampa, again, go down a couple goals. I think we're down 3-1. Big comeback, goals from Cole Caulfield. Jesse Alonen got a fucking great goal. Anderson and Schoonman got goals. And we take the defending back-to-back Cup champions to a shootout where Suzuki scores the winner. And Nick Suzuki's elite, by the way. I don't care. He's elite. He's elite. He's so fucking good.
If he's elite, then so is William Nylander.
Yeah. If you ask like, oh, is William Nylander elite? I'd be like, yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right. Do you know what?
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that if like if that's
so are they both top 50 guys in the NHL then?
And again, this isn't like a thing against them. It's just, okay, like if we're going top 50 players in the NHL, that also includes defensemen and goalies. There's probably at least like 10 to 12 defensemen that get into that list. Like could honestly be in that list. There's a couple of goalies that could be in there. So that's what, like, again, my thing with Willie Nylander, that goes back to like what, episode like 3?
Yes.
It's not that he's not a top 50 player in the league. It's just that there's 50 really fucking good players in the league. Being, top 60 or 65 like isn't a disrespect to him. It's just there's also a lot of really good players in the league.
So where do you put Nick Suzuki on that list?
Again, he'd probably be in that Nylander spot of like 60 to 65, but again, not because he's not good, but because there's just a lot of good players in the league.
See, I would put them both top 50, to be honest with you. I would have both of them probably in that 40 to 50 range, but
that's kind of like that 40 to 60, where if you're the 55th best player, you know what I mean? Like, it's not.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm. Yeah, that's kind of like how I feel with Nylander and Suzuki. Is like they're kind of on that point where like you could argue and have them in like the 40s, 40 to 50. But like I just feel like there's so many good players that like 50 to 60 is probably just a little safer of a shout, is what I'll say.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, and then we had a couple more guys signing their ELCs this week. Josh Roy, who is absolutely destroying the fucking scoring race in the queue. Like, he's just fucking running away with it. He's sitting on 97 points in 52 games. It's kind of good.
Yeah, it's all right.
So I'm hoping that actually when his season's done, hopefully we can get him for the Laval playoff push.
Cool. Yeah, speaking of debuts this week, Nick Abrazazy made his
you gotta get
last night.
You gotta say with the yeah, there you go.
He made his NHL debut last night, the Harvard product. Limited minutes, playing on the fourth line, but I didn't hate his game. There wasn't really much to judge, right? He barely played, but that's
the reality of that situation. Yeah.
Well, that's the reality of the situation that we're in. Yes, we have three lines that are absolutely spectacular, right? Like, the second line's been meh. They're starting to heat up again, though. John Tobias Williams.
I was like, did they shake it up, or what happened this week?
Okay, so it was kind of an interesting, game to game. It was weird. So obviously the Matthews, Marner, Bunting line stayed mostly intact throughout the week, but last night they were broken up, and it's because, like I said, through the first two periods, the team was just not playing well. So there were different, really, really different lineups tried. There was a Matthews, Mikheyev, Bunting line tried out with Tavares going with Marner and Kerfoot. So that was an interesting one. Then there was also a Kerfoot Bunting.
Nealer would have been on 3 at that point.
On 3, yeah.
Okay.
And that's how we started the game. Nylander on 3 with Kampf and Engvall. And but yeah, then Engvall even played a shift with Matthews and Bunting. Like, it was strange, and I think it was just Sheldon Keefe waking the team up because they were not
trying to get something going.
Yeah, but a healthy lineup going into the playoffs is like very formidable. I would be if I have the Leafs in the first round, I'd be shitting my pants, because so you got obviously the best line in hockey: Marner, Matthews, Bunting.
Yeah.
Tavares and Nylander are clicking again, and Mikheyev seems to be scoring every other game. A shorthanded goal every other game.
Oh, him or Engvall shorthanded.
Yeah, and then the third line is going to look a little bit. It's Kerfoot, Kampf, and Kasha. That's a pretty formidable third line. Kampf is probably our best.
No nicknames for that line, eh?
No, I'm not gonna go there. Not gonna go there. But man, that's a line that you can put out in every single situation and be happy. Like, they take all the defensive draws.
So that reminds me a lot of the Habs third line in the playoff run, where it was Kotkaniemi, Armia and Byron.
Yeah, just you don't want to play against them.
Yeah.
You just like David Kamp's stick is a nightmare for opponents. Like it seems to get in every lane. He pokes every puck off he's just deadly. And then if we're looking at a fourth line, you have any mix of Nick Robertson, Jason Spezza. You can add Kyle Clifford and Wayne Simmons in there if you need to get heavy.
Yep.
Potentially Nick. So we got Abrazazy. Potentially when he signs Matty Nyes, and he can even go up on the second line, and then you bring Mikheyev back to that fourth line. Deadly. That's a solid forward group moving in here.
I find it hard to argue that.
Too. Yeah. Engvall can mix in there, and then let's talk defense. Riley Brody, Gio, and Liljegren have been like I can't even describe to you how good they've been. Like we're talking a late Calder push here from Timothy Liljegren. Like I'm not kidding. Like I'm being dead serious.
I know you are, but like no.
We're talking a late Calder push from Timothy Liljegren. Yes,
because Moritz Seider exists.
No, I know. I know, but I'm not talking he's going to win. I'm talking like he's pushing himself into top 5 consideration here.
Yeah.
Timmy
I'll allow that.
Okay, so now you have any mix of Hull, Muzzin, Lyubushkin, Sandin for your bottom pairing.
What would you
formidable?
If you're Sheldon Keefe, what's your bottom pair?
Muzzin, Lyubushkin every time. Muzzin, Lyubushkin, because you just go out there and bang bodies, boys. That's all I need you to do. That's all I need you to do. And hey, maybe Liljegren slips, and then you go Hull, Muzzin on the third pairing, Giordano with Lyubushkin. Like, there's so many options here. If Jack Campbell can play good hockey, I like our chances right now. I really, really like our chances against any one of Florida, Tampa, or Boston. Give me any of them. I don't care. Honestly, at this point, I think we take them. I really do. I
can't wait to clip that up when you guys lose in the first round.
It's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen. I have faith. This is say whatever the hell you want about Kyle Dubas and the team that he's constructed. I am 23, turning 24 in May. This is by far the most talented, most fun to watch, most complete, top to bottom Toronto Maple Leafs team I've ever seen. Ever. And it's exciting, and I have faith. I have all the faith in the world in these guys. I really do. Anyway, that's what I have to say.
All right. So do you want to go a little around the league right now then?
Yeah, sure. Let's hit it up.
So I want to go Keith Yandles.
Keith Yandles probably shouldn't have been in the NHL for the past 3 seasons, so he can be just happy that he made it this far.
Yeah, so the Ironman streak, I'm a little upset they didn't let him get 1,000. They're doing nothing this year. Fucking scratch somebody else for 11 games. You know what I mean? Let the dude hit 1,000. You suck anyways. Like, what's the difference?
But this is what I love, right? Now because the conversation now shifts to Phil Kessel, right?
Yes.
We can agree on that.
So just the numbers here. Yandles' streak ends at 989 consecutive games. Phil Kessel is currently at 968.
Okay, so not this season, but next season, Phil Kessel will surpass Keith Yandles for the Ironman streak.
The question is, will he?
Why wouldn't he?
Well, I guess if he stays healthy, injuries, things like.
He stayed healthy for 960 something games. He'll stay healthy for another. He'll stay healthy for another 30, 40 games. And the thing is, Phil Kessel actually deserves to play in the National Hockey League still. That's the thing. Phil Kessel is still a good hockey player, right?
Yeah.
And dietitians around the world are on an absolute loss for words, trying to figure out how Phil Kessel is still playing hockey in the NHL at a high level.
Like all the trainers and fucking therapists and all the gym rats, everyone's fucking.
Phil Kessel doesn't need any of them. All he needs is a guy with a hot dog stand. That's all he needs. That's his doctor, baby. That's it. And do you know what? Something that doesn't get talked about. How freaking cool is it that hopefully, knock on wood, I guess, but when Phil Kessel passes Keith Yandle for this lead for this record, it will be a guy who battled and beat cancer.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Who is now going to potentially hold the record for longest Ironman streak in the NHL. That is so cool. That's awesome.
That's actually fucking sick. I honestly completely forgot about that because I just think Phil Kessel. I just think hot dogs and Stanley Cups.
Yeah, no. This is a guy who beat cancer.
Yeah. That's fucked up, in a good way, good way fucked up.
Yeah, that's crazy that he's been able to play in the league for this. And again, he does it he's not only playing in the NHL because Arizona exists, JB is. Phil Kessel
he could actually go play for a lot of teams.
He'd play for 32 teams in the NHL right now. He would.
Yeah.
Would you not take Phil Kessel over somebody on your bottom line?
I'd swap him for Mike Hoffman.
That's what I mean. Even Mike Hoffman. I'd swap him for Jason Spezza. Sorry, Spetz. Love you, buddy. Yeah. But, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Phil Kessel deserves to play every night in the NHL. Keith Yandle did not.
Yeah.
Keith Yandle should have been out of the league 3 years ago.
But the thing is, the way I look at it, he was rotting in he was in Arizona, was he not?
I believe Keith Yandle was in Arizona, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he wants to rot there and get his Ironman streak, great. Like I said, I'm just a little salty they didn't let him hit 1,000. They're doing nothing. For 11 more games, what's the fucking... You know what I mean?
Because it's down the stretch. You know exactly what's going on right now, right? Montreal, you guys have...
Yeah, no,
kids coming in and playing.
Yes,
there's kids coming into every team right now and playing that just finished their college season, right?
No, and
Free
I
agents,
get
draft
that.
picks.
I get that. But you're telling me that your other 5 defensemen, you couldn't scratch. There's nobody else playing fucking dog shit that you could scratch for 11 games. You know.
Well, I'm going to tell you a secret. We were the ones who played them in that game, and yes, all 5 looked like they deserved to be scratched. Yes,
and that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah,
it's they're gonna be so dog shit anyways. Why not let him hit 1,000?
Ivan Provorov had a game. That was it. Everybody else looked basically useless. Did you see Mitch Marner's goal?
I did.
No,
yes.
Mitch Marner's assist. It was Austin Matthews' goal.
Yeah.
What are they doing? What are they doing?
And that is exactly my point. It's if they're gonna do that, why not let Keith Yandle do that and hit 1,000 games? You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying, but I am of the belief that record, it only means something if you deserve it. He doesn't deserve it. He shouldn't have been in the league to this point. Right? That's that.
No, I get it.
You don't want to give it to him just to give it to him. Like I said, Phil Kessel, when he hits 1,000, that's going to be cool as hell because he deserves it. Right? Keith Yandle's not a good hockey player anymore. He used to be, but he's a very, very bottom tier defenseman in the National Hockey League now. So, no, fuck him. He doesn't deserve it. To be honest,
I got one more fill in the blank here. The next player not named Trevor Zegras to score Michigan in the NHL will be blank.
AM34, Austin Matthews. He's tried it 5 or 6 times this year.
Has he actually?
Yeah, and he has not succeeded yet. But he knows how to do it because he keeps trying it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like it's an easy thing to pull off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there was even a couple, I don't think we even scored, or maybe we did score on one where he faked a Michigan and made a pass out. And we scored. He's done that a few times, I think, this year. I think we scored on one of them. Anyway, continue.
So it's funny. The first kind of name that came to my head was actually Mitch Marner. Just, I don't know why. When I was thinking about that, I'm Mitch. He feels like he's skilled enough to do it, and he's got that little bit of swagger to do it if he's in a good run of form. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because that's not something that any old guy can do, right? You want
to talk about form? Mitch Marner is playing the best hockey of his career right now, and it's not even
isn't he on 20-something points in his last 10 games or something stupid like that?
In his last 8 games, he's got 5 goals, 12 assists for 17 points.
Yeah.
In 8 games. I forget the number of points it was, but he just set a record for the most points in a 33-game span in Toronto Maple Leafs history. It's 58 or something like that. It's outrageous. He's so dialed in, man. He is so dialed in. That play that he made last night, how many times did he freeze Carter Hart?
Like that, honestly, like that looked like something I do when I play NHL, like the video game.
Yeah, and
where you just sit there and like fake and fake and fake and fake.
And dish and score.
Like,
I wish I had that much patience with anything, with people. Like, I don't have that much patience with anybody, anything at all.
No.
Like,
like not even with me, you have that kind of patience.
no. And the thing that makes him so great, and this is why he kind of stumbles in the playoffs, and I've said this before, is Mitch Marner's greatest asset. Because, like, I even put it in our group chat earlier today. He's not really that fast. He's got like a slightly above average NHL shot. He's not a big guy at all. He's like 5'11", 180, 190 maybe. He's so smart and intelligent, and he just, like, when there's no space, Mitch Marner has all of the space. I don't know how he does it. Nobody else in the league, like, I watch hockey every day, every fucking day. I've never seen a guy who just makes space. He just creates it. It's ridiculous. And it obviously not only benefits him, but man, his line mates love it. Like, because
I mean, if Bunting could score a fucking goal sometime in the next like year, that would be nice for me. But you know,
yeah, sorry about that. He's been dialing up the apples lately.
I know, and it's really fucking like the Leafs keep putting up like 7 spots, and I'm like Bunting goal, Bunting goal, Bunting goal, nothing.
No.
But like honestly, if he gets 7 points in a game, they're all assists now. Like that's the way it's going to be for the rest of the season.
Yeah, actually, I believe he's in the league lead for rookie points as of right now.
Give me 1 minute, and I will pull that up for you.
I believe he picked up an apple to pass Lucas Raymond, if I am not mistaken.
You are correct. He is on 53 points. Raymond is on 52. Zegras is on 50. Sider's on 44. My boy Cole Caulfield. And Rem Pitlick is quietly in there as well, 34 and 32 points respectively.
Jesus, Moritz Seider has 39 assists this year.
He's so good. He is so good. Like I feel like we do this every episode that we end up talking about Bunting and then we just go, oh, by the way, Seider's so fucking good.
Yeah. Okay. We'll refrain. That was the last fill in the blank you had for the weekend.
That was, yes.
Okay. So what do the Habs got coming up?
So we've got the Senators on Tuesday night, the Devils on Thursday, and then for the last time this season, the Maple Leafs on a Saturday night.
So we'll see you on Saturday then.
Probably.
Okay. So we have a southern road trip coming up. The big Florida road trip. It's not all sunshine and rainbows anymore, is it?
It's not sunshine in the Sunshine State, no.
No. So Tampa tomorrow, and then back to, oh my God. We pay Florida on the second half of a back-to-back.
Yeah.
That hurts. That hurts, man.
That's like, I don't want to say season defining, but like, you want to measure up against the best teams in the league, that's the way to do it. I'm gonna
tell you this right now. If the Leafs win against Tampa and Florida back to back, you're not gonna hear the end of it next Sunday. That will be.
Hey! We beat Tampa. So
yeah,
relax.
I know, and I didn't lose any money, but I almost made a bunch. If I would have bet, okay, just so the listeners know, I almost made a bet. I almost put $15 on the Leafs to win yesterday, which they did. The Kings to win yesterday, which they did, and the big kicker here, the Habs to beat Tampa, which they did. And I asked Gitano, should I make this bet? $15.
I said no.
He said absolutely not. That's a horrible bet.
Hey, I did that with
$50.
I did that with your best interests in mind, Dave. Like that, you know. I made that decision to tell you no with love. Just so you know.
I'm literally sitting there watching the game, like the end of the Habs game with Michaela, and I'm like, if they win, I swear to God. I swear to fucking God. Oh my God. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, I'll make up for it. I'll bring some pizza on Saturday night. We'll make up for it.
$150 just.
Yeah, but it's not like you had the $150. It was gone. You never had it.
It was my grasp.
Anyways, So is that it for the Leafs then? You get the big back-to-back and then the Habs Leafs Saturday?
No, there is one game in between. While we're down south, we will be making a trip to the Lone Star State, Dallas, Texas, playing the Stars at 8:30 on Thursday. So that's an interesting road trip. Probably good for the team to get out on a little bit of a road trip here before on the lead up to the playoffs, because it's going to be a grueling stretch here. Like I said, if we can pull off a back-to-back wins against the Lightning and the Panthers, that would be.
Well, I think if you take 2 points in that, whether it's a win and a loss or even 2 overtime losses, I mean, like getting 2 points out of those 4 would be big.
Yeah, it would. It would be huge. But yeah, that's what's coming up, and yeah, like you said, the Habs in town in Toronto on Saturday, April the 9th should be a doozy of a hockey game, because the Leafs are going to need the points out of that one, man. I'll tell you that.
I mean, we got to do a prediction then, right?
Oh, like score and everything?
I'm going to go 5-3 Habs win.
I'm going to go 6-1 Leafs win, because they're going to be absolutely devastated. They're going to be pissed that they lost the 2 points to them on the 26th of March. And they're going to be like, we're not doing that again. We're going to go and we're going to score 6 goals in the first period.
No. 5-3. Cole Caulfield's got 2.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. So in a 6-1 W, I'm going to say Austin Matthews has a couple, because he literally scores every game. Guy's got 46 goals in his last 44 games.
51 on the year or 52?
51 on the season. He's on pace for 63, and I believe it is 73 games. That's crazy.
That's all right. That's all right.
Crazy. Anyway, so yeah, I'll go Matthews with 2, Tavares with 1, Mikheyev with 1, Mark Giordano with 1, and Pierre Engvall.
All right, I'm gonna go. Yeah, because I said 5-3, so I'm gonna do Caulfield's got 2, Suzuki's gonna put up 1, Rem Pitlick's gonna put up 1. And
I'll throw you a softball here. Josh Anderson scores every time you guys play us.
Yeah, I was debating between him or like a defenseman. I'm like, yeah, it's got to be Josh Anderson.
No, you got to throw it. He scores every time. He turns it up. I don't know what it is. He literally goes from Jay Beagle to Austin Matthews.
I mean, like, no, but
yeah. Anyway. So yeah, that's about all we got for you this week. Trying to keep it a little bit shorter. Looks like we're there, because we've been going a little bit overboard. Yeah. But, lots to talk about.
Yep.
All right. So, thank you everybody for listening to episode 53. We hope you enjoyed, and we will talk to you next week.